Hello, everyone. Good evening, wherever you are. This is Jamie Newton Knight, your blended black family strategist. Hey, ladies. Waiting for a few of you to come in. I'm waving to everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey. This is going to be juicy, but I don't have no popcorn. I don't have my own popcorn. I'm always trying to figure out how to pin this title, and it never works for me, so I'm not going to stress myself out about it. Nope, sure not. So, ladies, as you guys jump in, you guys know that this topic is, we're going to be talking about surviving R. Kelly, and that whole conversation that's been happening. You say you have your popcorn. I don't have my popcorn. I need my popcorn. No, I still can't pin it. No. Okay. So, we're just going to go on. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to start off with some basics. Like, so how does this tie into Jamie and blended families and stuff like that? So for me, the reason that I personally wanted to talk about R. Kelly and the whole sexual abuse and the allegations were because in blended families, there's a stigma that the step parents are always the person who abuses the child. Type and click it twice. Okay, let's see. Let's see if that works. I don't know if it worked. Oh, it did. Thank you. Thank you, Bez. Very good. I finally got it. Thank you very, very much. Fine. Finally, right? It's been how long? Almost a year. So yeah, there's a stigma in blended families that says it's oftentimes the step parent. And so I tried to do a little bit of research and figure this thing out. So I did some research, and let me tell you what the research says, which part of it is a little bit scary. We know that most of the time the child is molested by someone who looks and acts just like us. So it's not some strange person lurking around, right? That abusers can be our neighbors, our friends, our family. It says about 90% of children who are victims of abuse know their abuser. It's only 10% of sexual abuse happens by strangers. That alone is a crazy statistic. Out of 100%, 90% are people that you know. So that, especially for a person who has children, that's scary, because that means you're always on guard. Like, you always have to try to figure out, you worry about your family, you worry about yourself, you worry about your children, right? So it says approximately 30% of children who are sexually abused are abused by family members. The younger the victim, the more likely it is that the abuser is a family member. Of those molesting a child under 6, 50% are family members. The statistics are crazy. So these are people that you trust. Know the statistics. Know the statistics. So I wanted to start with that part. And the reason that I wanted to start with that part, like I said, was because oftentimes, especially in blended families, the stigma is that it's the step parent. The reality is that it's often a family member, a close family member. So let's dive in. Let's talk about this R. Kelly, surviving R. Kelly. So it started out, another reason, let me rewind and backtrack. Another reason I wanted to have this conversation is because as I was watching it, it brought forth a lot of emotions for myself. Not a lot of people in the world that know me know I too suffered childhood sexual abuse growing up. So only a rare few people, some family, know that I myself went through that. And I think I waited until I was an adult to say anything about it. So watching this brought forth a lot of emotions for me. It brought forth a lot of stuff. However, it's a lot of stuff that I dealt with and I was able to deal with because I've already sought counseling for it. And so I guess I'm in a different space, right? However, that might not be the case for everybody. If you haven't watched it and you want to, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, they say 1 in 5, I think, people were abused as a child. That means out of all the people we know, like standing in a room, out of 10 of us, 2 of us have already experienced it, and which is a crazy thing to think about. So I'm gonna go into this. It says that like I said, as I was watching it, they were talking about how he himself was abused as a child. So he was sexually abused from the age of 7, I think. I'm trying to get this to focus properly. From the age of 7 to 14 from someone he knows. As you can, I think all of you watched it at this point. In the end, when he did the interview, he still won't say who that person was, which says a lot about how it damages you as an individual. You don't want to say who it was. It's like protecting them for whatever reason you feel you need to protect them instead of protecting yourself. I started to say, if you have been abused and you have not watched this, I advise that you be cautious in watching it. Kind of like watch it with care. If you feel like things are coming up for you as you're watching it, it might be good to stop. If you have not seen it and you have experienced childhood or any type of sexual trauma like rape or anything like that, then I wouldn't advise that you watch it because it does bring forth a lot of emotions. If you do feel like you want to anyway, if you have not sought counseling, I definitely recommend seeking counseling because it is definitely a trigger. Thank you. Yes, Andrea, is a trigger. This series, it was a 3-part series, but it was 6 shows, so it was 2 each night. And each story was more and more telling, and each time they told the story, it was very similar that each of their stories were the same, but to hear it, regardless of how many times you heard the story, it hurt the same. It still hurt the same, because it was just like, well, how could a person be so cruel? Why would a person want to be so cruel? And like I said, I'm saying to you now that he was bullied as a child. He was sexually abused as a child from 7 to 14. Why would a person who already experienced this want to turn around and then do the same thing to someone else and have them experience it. So they also were saying, these women were talking about how charming he was and how sweet he was in the beginning. I appreciate you share that. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. If you haven't watched it, like I said, it's something to think about before watching it. Like, people are saying, "Oh, y'all gotta see it." For me, I don't feel like everybody needs to see it. I really feel like you need to handle it with care. So if it's something that you feel like you can watch without, anything mentally coming up or emotionally coming up for you, then yeah, watch it. If you feel like it's something you can handle, watch it. If you feel like it's gonna bring forth a lot of emotions and it's gonna be a trigger, then it's not something I recommend. But yeah, they were saying he's charming. He was sweet at the beginning. These were all manipulation tactics. Manipulation tactics. So he used that to start to, find a way to control them. He was sweet. He was charming. He lured them in. He found a way to get these ladies into, away from their families and into being close to him. The whole thing with Aaliyah drove me crazy, because we had heard this thing when we were, like, for me, I think I was a teenager when this all stuff started coming out. So I would hear it and I'm like, this is not real. Like, she's young. Why would she want to marry an older guy, right? And then he's old and he knows that down south, the guys used to not try to mess with young girls. They would be like, jail bait. They already knew. Like, if you mess with a girl that's too young, you go into jail. So it was always an underlying joke as when we were kids. So I never thought that, I remember hearing about the marriage, but I didn't think that it was real until this video confirmed it. And having, I guess, people speak on the account of all the situations that took place. That's what kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, wow, this really did happen. This really did take place. So he was controlling, he was manipulative by being nice and sweet and charming. When he got them in, he became controlling and abusive. And calling him daddy. Really, R. Kelly? No, you are not my daddy. And no, I don't want to call you that. Guess it's like some fetish, something, whatever. So he had his victims calling him daddy. The way that they all were describing it was as if it was, they said, oh yeah, he said we should call him daddy. And so we did. And then it just continued to happen that way. Like, he continued to call him they continued to call him daddy whenever they wanted something. They always had to ask for permission for things. They couldn't speak unless he told them it was okay to speak. Like, for every single thing that it was controlled. Even to his wife, when he was with her, he knew she was a dancer. That's how he met her. But then he started to control her as well. And to hear that she was locked in a basement and hogtied and couldn't come out for food, and she had to knock on the basement door, come up from the basement, which is where she was trapped, knock on the door and ask for permission to eat. Can I have some food? And then hearing these women say that there were little buckets and corners, which were supposed to be their bathrooms, I guess. How do you treat people like this? Like, this is all, and how do you, as an individual, like, what was going on in your family life that made you feel like that is so bad that this is better? What was better about this thing that made you want to stay in this situation versus whatever your mom and dad were doing? Why leave mom and dad's house? Why leave home and be here with this bucket for a toilet? Gotta ask for permission to pee. Gotta ask, excuse my vulgar, that because that's vulgar. Urinate. Gotta ask for permission to eat. You gotta ask for permission for food. Gotta ask for permission to speak. What made you feel like this situation was better than what you already had? And so it seemed as if he would go out to like the schoolyard. I joked that it was the schoolyard, but it really was the schoolyard that he was going to find girls. So he would go to his old high school and find young women who were aspiring to be artists. And the part that troubled me too was so not at first, because parents, we want our children to aspire to be things, and we want them to have the ability to be able to do the things that they want to do. And if something presents itself where you're like, oh wow, you have a chance, you want to be able to help them with that chance. Yes, they were definitely brainwashed. Yes. You want them to be able to have that chance. And it seemed as if these parents saw that their child had that opportunity or that chance, and they were willing to take it. The problem I have with that is that it's almost like they left the care of parenting to him. Like, okay, my child wants to be a star. Here you go. Here you go. Here's my child. And then all these things. Your child is not of age. You know, so it's a number of different things that's happening with all of these. That was the parts that I couldn't put together, because in my head I'm saying, I know that kids skip school. I know that children will find a way to do the things that they want to do if they want to do it. So there's parts of it that I understand. Like if a child wants to skip school, they're going to skip school. If they want to go run off with a man like R. Kelly, then they will. But at what point are the parents able to step in and draw the line and say, this is not happening on my watch? Like, this is not happening on my watch. Like the 14-year-old and the parents that didn't testify. No, the parents that testified and said, that's not my child. That's your child. You know that's your child. Like, just say that it's your kid. Get this man locked up and let's move on. So some people are thinking that because the parents said it's not their child, they feel like the parents were paid off. My other struggle was the other set of parents who signed over their rights to him. I struggled with that because they met him after the trial. So they met him after all the other accusations came up, all after the videotape came out of him with the young girl. This set of parents met him after all of that took place. So now you meet this man, and the parents' feeling was, well, the jury said he was not guilty. And so he was not guilty. Yeah, but then your daughter's 14. So regardless of whether the jury said he's not guilty or not, don't you want to ride with caution? Like, I'm going to be very cautious of what's happening if my 14-year-old daughter is signed to R. Kelly's label. I just am. Wherever you are, I am. That's just how it's going to be. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around that set of parents. They I guess they felt comfortable with the fact that he was found not guilty, and so they kind of was like, well, he was found not guilty, and so we were kind of cautious, but then we told him that if our daughter is going to be with him all the time, then she needs a chaperone. This man has been accused of being with underage children, which means there are people around him that are covering up for him. So you think that you bringing, unless the chaperone was you or your husband, the husband or the wife, I didn't understand why any other chaperone was going to do. Because the only people that I'm going to trust to chaperone my child with him is me or my husband. That's it. I'm not going to sign my rights over to some random stranger that's a part of his label just so she can be a singer. I'm not sacrificing my child and her innocence just for a little bit of fame or just so she could be famous. Yeah, exactly. You should be cautious with everyone. Exactly. I agree. It's just, and the fact that they were kind of, I mean, in the end, the dad was like, I kind of feel like it fell on me. Like I felt helpless. It was my fault because now I haven't seen my daughter in years, and now she's 18, and now I can't even get a hold of her, and now I'm running to all these different hotels where I think she might be, trying to find her, and I can't even speak to her. And I'm like, why'd you guys allow this in the first place? But yes, I kind of want to say yes, you guys knew that this man was a pedophile. But part of it is like they feel like their daughter was going to do what she wanted to do anyway. Like the stupid guy that was looking at the videos with him. So that's a whole nother thing. Like, another piece of it was that there were many people that were parts of this whole thing. So at first I was just mad at him. I'm like, this dude has to be in jail, and these are underage kids, and regardless of whether they're adults now, this has traumatized them for life. I don't understand why they're not trying to lock him up. There were so many adults. A man who outwardly stated that he was privy to the information about the two of them getting married and forged a signature for them to get married. You should be in jail. Yep, you should go to jail too. You knew that they were getting married. You was a part of it. You knew she was underage. You should be in jail. Anybody that knew of all that activity that was going on, regardless of whether you were in plain sight talking on TV or you were covering up, didn't want to be seen on TV, all of them should go to jail. All of them should go to jail. The brother that's in jail, he was very ignorant. I couldn't even tolerate much of him. The things he was saying, I was just like, why did you guys exactly want to interview this guy? Y'all probably just shouldn't have just left him alone. The fact that they tried to spin the whole sex tape thing and put it on the other brother, that was a piece that was crazy too. And how the brother was like, listen, I got a family. My kids are getting beat up every single day behind this thing. I'm not going down like that. That wasn't me on that tape. Don't try to put it on me. I love that he stood up and was like, this is not my cross to bear. So I was glad for that, and that he stood up for himself and was like, there's no amount of money that I'm going to take for my sanity and for my soul. Like, there's nothing you can give me that's going to compromise who I am. And the brother was like, the other brother in jail was like, he's stupid. He should have taken the money. He would have been rich. But no, his kids was getting beat up every day because they were thinking that this man was the one on the video instead of R. Kelly. Which, if you're going to let your brother go down for your mess, that's horrible too. So a lot of people are also now struggling with the wife. So I got to talk about her. So there's a lot of pieces to this thing. Oh my God. The young girl another person who troubled me before I get into the wife is the girl who kept following him at the when he was on trial. So she would show up at his trial every day and hang around outside and like dying to meet him. I'm your super fan. And like, you're supposed to be in school, number one. Two, he definitely played on that because he knew she was a young girl. But the fact that I mean, I guess you're a teenager, you're young and you're dumb, and you make stupid decisions and you do stupid things. I'm trying to grasp it that way. I'm trying to accept that because she was young and immature, that's what was making her go to his trial every day, stand outside with a sign, and then get lured into his house as well and become another victim. There was so many victims, it was hard to keep track. I struggled with the grown adult victims because I kind of felt like they were women and they were more situated, like they had careers. And I mean, that doesn't mean that you can't be manipulated because you're a grown up. But I kind of struggled, I guess, because I was like, no, don't let him lure you to, his house. Like, and keep you there. You have a career. Like, you literally just gave all of that up for this guy. And they were like, it's R. Kelly. Like, this ain't just no guy. This is R. Kelly. I didn't get that part, but who am I? But the wife. So, see, okay, it's not just me. I thought it was me. I struggled. I really struggled with that. The two grown women, I was just like, they're 30 something. Like, we got to be more mature. We got to be more mature than that, and kind of like, but some people aren't in those certain places, but also some people can still be manipulated regardless of the age, and I have to understand that. So instead of judging, I have to understand that they too can be manipulated. The wife. A lot of people are making comments. I've been receiving lots of comments about the wife. They're like, oh, she's playing the victim. Oh, look at her twerking in all these videos. She has a video out where she's, what is she doing? Oh, dancing, like singing and dancing in the car to an R. Kelly song. I think it was Happy People or something like that. Yet she's crying abuse. She couldn't possibly, it can't be as bad as she's making it seem, because look at her out here in these streets, happy and dancing and twerking, and she's just playing a victim. She's not a real victim. So that's the feeling that everyone has right now, in terms of the wife. A lot of people, I'll say. And this is on different platforms that I've been having these discussions. And a lot of people are struggling with it because I guess after the Surviving R. Kelly video was made, she has made these videos and posted them to her Instagram and her Facebook page and stuff like that. So people are struggling with her story because of that. But I'm expressing to them that just because she's living, whatever that might look like for her, doesn't mean she wasn't a victim. She could have, been a victim could have been a victim even though she's doing these things, on Facebook Live or on Instagram or whatever, twerking. And I didn't see the twerking video. I did see her, I think she was in the car with a friend or boyfriend or whatever, and she was singing, I think it was Happy People, I don't know. And she was like, yes, that's right, I'm listening to my baby daddy song. And, so everybody was feeling like, how come she can listen to his music and dance and sing to his music, but I can't? So then that brought forth a whole new conversation. So I want to ask you women, what do you think about Drea being online, posting twerking videos, and, just, I guess, living it up, like living it up, twerking, singing, dancing to R. Kelly's music after this series has already premiered? What do you feel about that? What are your thoughts about that? I want to hear what you ladies, and if there's gentlemen here, what do you guys have to say about that? I also found it funny that all of the women, except for one who happened to be the youngest individual in the bunch, all had a hard time leaving. Except for this one girl who ended up getting an STD and was like, I'm out. Was it an STD? Yes. And she was like, I'm out of here. I'm out. She found out she wasn't going to be the only person, and she saw how many people was around, and she was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And she left. I was like, that's the smartest decision, girl, you ever could make. So you said you didn't get that at all. If someone was so brutal to me, I would not be singing their song. You said she's a fake. I'm telling you, this is kind of the theory that people have. It's kind of like the way that I'm trying to get it is that, like, abuse damages people mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally, sexually, and I think that is hard for people to understand. But the crazy piece is that some people still try to go on and live, but she was really going hard on his music, and she was, from what people say, her twerking video, the way she was doing what she was doing online. I don't know. Like, I don't know which pieces are. I'm sure she was abused. I'll say that. I'm sure she was abused like the rest. But to what extent, I don't know. And her actions are very, but it does happen that way. Sometimes people that are abused do crazy things. It's crazy. They either become hypersexual, which it seems is what she's doing if she's twerking on videos and stuff like that, or they become a hermit, like an introvert. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want anybody to see them. They don't want anybody to touch them. So it can take two far extremes, one or the other. I personally became very, not paranoid, but like, I guess paranoid. I was very, like, with people around my kids, and I taught them very early about touch and what was not an okay touch, and if anybody made you feel uncomfortable with something they were saying to you or something that they were doing to you, that you would tell me right away. I don't care who it was. I don't care if it was your aunt. I don't care if it's your uncle. I don't care if it's your brother. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. You tell your mother right away. Your mommy's going to handle it. I don't care if they told you they're going to buy you something. We don't want what they buying, because that's how it starts. So, no. I told my kid, it made me speak to my kids extremely early on about sexual abuse and how to watch out for it and what they needed to do if it were to happen to them. My only hope is that they listened. And with these younger two, I don't know at what age I'll be able to have that conversation with them, but I'm definitely going to have that talk with them too. But yeah, with Drea, that line with her is such a fine one, because it's so hard to say. Like I said, I'm sure she was a victim, but her actions are like to the point where people can't even see the victimization that she endured because of the things that she's doing. Like, it's taking away from the things that she endured, because she's out here acting like nothing in her life is bothering her. So how do you guys feel about the other debate? The big debate was listening to R. Kelly's music. So my husband and I had this conversation last Sunday. We were talking about R. Kelly and his music, and I was saying, I love his music. I love probably a good majority of his songs because I love to dance. So anything that I can dance to, I like. So Happy People, Red Carpet, like, I can probably name a whole bunch. Chocolate Factory was probably one of my favorite albums. Like, I was a fan, but not to the extent of, like, not a super fan. Like, I want to see him. I want to meet him. I never wanted to see him in concert, but I love his music. How do you feel about his music now versus him as an individual? Do you feel that you can listen to his music and differentiate that from the person? Or do you feel like, I already know what this dude did and there's no way that I can listen to his music ever again? What do you ladies feel about that? I'm extremely interested in this because this is the debate that I was having in my own head. I'm like, I love his music. He's a musical genius. If you don't know how to read, to learn that he didn't know how to read was crazy to me. So knowing that you didn't know how to read, but you could sit at a piano and play it like just by ear, that's a genius. You are a genius. You are a musical genius. True. It's the truth in terms of being able to pick things up. However, lyrically, I'm not saying he's a genius in that regard. But what do you guys feel? What are you feeling about his music now? Like, do you still listen to it? When it comes on the radio, do you turn it down or off? Did you break all the CDs you had? I do still have CDs. Yes, I'm sorry. Don't call me old. I am old. I know, but I don't want you to I don't want you to tell me I am. But yeah, I still have the CDs. Like, did you break your CDs? Did you throw them out? What did you do? What did you do? What do you feel in terms of this music versus the man? My husband keeps saying to me, you have to differentiate the man from the music. You are never, in the first place, you were never supposed to be in a place of idolizing someone so much that you thought he was perfect in the first place. So if you originally liked this man's music, then it was okay to like his music, but don't like it so much, get so intrigued with the individual that you like the music because of the man. And I was like, that makes sense. However, like, now hearing all these stories, knowing what he did to these women, I am struggling. Yes, you say he's a musical genius. You said you deleted him off your iTunes. You still have his CDs too? Okay. I do have his CDs and stuff like that, but I vowed that I'm not listening to him at all. I had him on my Pandora, on my list, my favorites, and I took it off because I can't stomach it. It was like, how do you sit, like, how I like the music, but how do I sit and like listen knowing what you did? No, how do I hear this voice knowing what you did? So that was hard for me. It seems like people are playing it more. So what I'm finding is that I think I was watching The Real, and Lonnie Love was stating that people are listening to the music more because they want to hear the lyrics. So they feel like a lot of his, his little notes, his little, the secrets are in the music. So they feel like the message is in the music. So a lot of people are starting to doubt. Remember, some of these kids are young, so they don't know about the older songs. So they're downloading it because they want to know that, from back then. Some people are like, wait a minute, he said what in that song? And they're downloading it because they want to hear if there was some underlying underage, and then in the video, some of the young ladies were stating that he made this song about me, or he made this song when he was with me. And so I think some people are revisiting the music because of that. However, wait, it says I'm not listening. We as women do have to take a stand. I agree. Some people are standing up with him. Yes, I agree with that as well. I did see a video last night of him doing like not a concert, but like I think he made an appearance at some club, and the club was packed. And people were making comments like, I want him, oh, I'm going to the R. Kelly show. I want him to kidnap and cage me. I'm like, it's not a joke. That's not funny. Like, what's going on in your mind that you would think that it's funny to be kidnapped and caged and kept and be made a slave? I'll call you daddy. Kidnap me. What? Y'all sound crazy. So yeah, there are some people who are completely with him. They're for him. And like I said, there was a video that was posted last night of him performing, and they were a bunch of women in the audience screaming and shouting and dancing to his music and singing all the lyrics as he sang the lyrics. And literally there were girls posting comments saying, I wish I was there. Oh, he can kidnap me. Oh, he can take me captive. It was crazy. And I was like, if my child ever, right? No. I saw that the club was sold out because of him. Right, exactly. So then what ended up happening was that the only reason why they came and shut it down was because someone on the outside called the police and said that like a pedophile or something was inside. And so they came and shut the show down, but only because someone called the police, not because, of anything that was going on inside. That's crazy to me, because this man is it's almost like gaining momentum. But this is what they were talking about on the show too. After every allegation, it was like fire would be sparked behind him. He would make a song and boom, like a rocket, this man's career would skyrocket. Like he would make a song and his career was up again. And each time it kept doing it. And for me, I'm like, are we so ignorant as a people that it's just like, just go make some music that we can dance to throw us off and we gonna be back here? Like, what's going on? Is it that our girls' self-esteem is so low? Are we not teaching them enough? Are we not coddling? Like, what are they not given enough of that's making them feel like they got to go reach out to people like him? I don't know. Where they're getting gifts and being told they're beautiful and he can give them anything they want. And after this, every child should be afraid. Every young female should be afraid of a man like that. Period. I don't understand that. I do feel like we should take a stand as not just women, but people in general. My daughter says she's been arguing a lot with guys because they haven't watched the show, but they're saying why they don't believe the girls, of course, but that's kind of why there is a movement in the first place, because people don't believe black and brown girls. They don't listen to our cries. They don't, when we say we've been sexually abused, they don't hear us. And so we don't feel protected. We don't feel like anyone has our back. So it is good that we as women are trying to stand together. I hope that this movement pushes them to revisit the case. I hope that this movement pushes them to lock him up. Get him some help, because he needs help, and lock him up. You can't get mental health help in jail. He needs mental health help. He needs to deal with those demons, but he also needs to do jail time for what he has done to all these women's lives. And the person who did it to him needs jail time. That's the reality. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is how his daughter just did a post yesterday. And she said, the same monster that you all are confronting me about is my father. I'm well aware of who and what he is. I grew up in that house. The reason she is saying this is because people are confronting her about how he is. Like, oh, your dad's a monster. And she's like, you ain't telling me nothing I don't know. I live with this man. That's why I haven't spoken to him in a million years. Like, she said, I know this. I know what he did to my family, and I know what he did to my mother. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I don't have a relationship with him. So you're not telling me about this monster that's in the closet. I already knew about the monster in the closet. Y'all are just finding out about this monster in the closet. So I like that she stepped up and spoke out on behalf of not just herself, because I kind of feel like it speaks true for herself, but also for her family, which goes back to me saying that the wife, Drea, has been victimized. I know that she was a victim of abuse. I think that the way she's going about it may be her way of processing it. However, I think that she needs, to seek some help, some counseling. Because it does look like it's okay to be okay with your abuser. And that's kind of what we as women, especially brown and black women, are made to feel, especially in our families, when this happens in our families. It's like, shh, Uncle so-and-so did this to that child, but Uncle so-and-so still comes to all the events. Grandpa so-and-so did this to this child, but Grandpa's at all the events. I remember seeing a video online of a girl calling out her mother's brother or her own brother at a wedding. And the family was like, she's lying. He didn't do that to her. I'm like, you think she would humiliate herself online for a lie? I don't think so. Chances are she's not lying. When this is happening, people need to listen. We live in a time where toxic masculinity is so prevalent. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that's the truth. It's like, it's a man's world, kind of. That's kind of the thought process, right? No, I think that us starting to show that we are standing together and we have a voice, and even seeing all these women in Congress now, like seeing change occur, like these are the things that starting to make me feel like, yes, seeing these women do this show, Surviving R. Kelly, speaking out about all the trauma that they've endured. Yes, all those women who are a part of the Me Too movement. It's like, yes, it's about time that we stop letting this stuff happen to us, and we speak up for ourselves and speak up and stand behind each other. I love what I'm seeing. I think we're gonna see amazing change happen. R. Kelly's sister said that the abuse was from their older sister. Probably the reason why he wouldn't say exactly who it was. The brother said it, but R. Kelly wouldn't say. He said he wasn't going to throw his family under the bus, is what he said. Those were his comments. He said, I'm not going to throw my family under the bus. So he didn't want to say who it was. He continued to try to protect his abuser. Like I said, he needs help. He needs to confront that demon so that he can move on with his life. But also so that he can pay for the things that he has done to other people's lives. But yeah, it has been real. It has been real chatting with you ladies. I'm trying to think of if I had any. Do you guys have any questions? Do you want to ask me anything? My only advice at the end of this is two things. Pay attention to the signs. Pay attention to the signs. So some of the signs are eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia, complaints of stomach pain, sleep problems, bowel disorders, genital and rectal symptoms, lack of self-esteem, advanced sexual knowledge. So you know where the stage that they were in versus where they are now. Sexualized behavior, which is what I was telling you before about Drea. I feel like she is hypersexual, and it's like she's showing her abuse, but in a the far extreme. So it's like, yes, I was abused, but, and then she's showing you this other side. Distress around a particular person, aggressiveness, seeking excessive time with an adult. So either they want the extra attention from that person because that person gives them attention or gifts or privileges, which is what mine did to me, to try to keep me quiet. So he would try to bring me things to keep me quiet. And seeking aggressiveness, high risk behaviors, or drug use. So those are the signs of abuse. Okay. Those are the signs. And what will we do if we know that abuse is taking place? We're going to call these predators out. We're no longer going to be quiet about it. If it's in your family, I don't care who the child says it is, you guys need to call it out. Call a thing. Report it. Report abuse. I'm sure this conversation is going to continue for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks because it is a very hot topic. I am interested in watching Red Table Talk with Jada and the young lady that was in the video, who actually was one of the ones who ended up sleeping with a 14-year-old girl, and finding out she slept with a 14-year-old girl, and then was like, the reason I didn't tell was because I loved him, and I didn't call the cops was because I loved him. That's a psychological thing. I want to see the whole conversation, hear what they talk about, and I want to come back and talk about it some more. Yeah, I have a patient that recently shared with me she was abused at the hand of her brother. It happens. He said, I wonder where the sister is, and I wonder where she is too. They did the video, they had the brothers on there, at least if nothing else to say, I never did that, clear her name or anything, but I wonder where she is. She did tell, but she's still dealing with the emotional issues. I know people who have outright said to their family member, this has happened to me when they were kids. This has happened to me at the hands of this person. And they were shot down. They were told that it was a lie. They were told that it was untrue. They were told that they needed to stop making things up. And I was floored. I was like, wow. I'm thinking in my adult mind now of how I would, I was like, wow, what if I was to say that when I was a kid? If I were to tell the people around me, would they have believed me? I don't know if they would have or they wouldn't have, but it troubles me because I do know that it exists. It happens in so many families and people never say anything. Or some people, not meaning the people being abused, they speak up. But the people around them want it to, shh, don't tell that so-and-so, shh, don't say this, shh. And it shouldn't be that way, because the reality is that when you hush it up and keep it quiet, the next person's child is going to get abused, and then it's going to happen to another child, and then it's going to happen to another child, and it's going to keep happening until somebody, it's just going to be a cycle that continues to happen over and over until someone speaks up or just continue. His brother from jail he was so ignorant. I don't know why they even decided to interview him, but she was taken away from her mother because she told, and I think that's the reason a lot of people decide to stay quiet. Like, some people are like, I never said anything, or, because people weren't going to believe me, or I never said anything because, I was going to be taken away. Or I think that's a trauma within itself to deal with, already having to deal with one aspect of it, being the trauma itself, the sexual abuse itself. And now you have to deal with now being taken away from your mom because you told, like, for real. I told my kids, I don't care who it is. If it's someone that I'm with, you tell me, and they will be gone like the wind so fast. You won't have to worry about anything. Like, I don't understand women when they stay with a man, that they know has abused their children sexually or physically. Like, no, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I was about to say something on this live, and then I said, you know what? Nope, because lives are live and they stay on here forever. And people might rewind and go back and be like, girl, she said that on live. Nope. I'm not putting myself in jail. But no, nobody better hurt my kids. That's the main thing. Because I might accidentally hurt somebody too. So, accidentally. But it's been real, ladies. It has been real. It has been real. It's been fun. I'm glad for you guys who did get to join me tonight. If you have suffered a sexual trauma, and you want to talk about it, I am available. You can go to the link in my bio, and you can request a blended brainstorming session. It's free. If you want to talk about all things blended, the link in my bio. Book your free blended brainstorming session. But if it's a serious traumatic thing that you really are struggling with, that, like I said, this series brought up a lot of emotions for you and too much emotion for you to deal with, I think you should seek a therapist. Again, if you did not watch the video and you have been abused, maybe it's not the thing for you to watch because you can get triggered. But just think about it carefully. So thank you, ladies, for joining me. Stephanie. Thank you. A book? What kind of book? You mean, am I writing a book? Or am I reading a book? Which one? So yes, thank you, ladies. But for 2019, I intend to write a book. I don't know if that's what you're asking. I think you're asking something else, though. I'm going to wait for your response, and then I'm going to sign off. But if you know anyone who, I know who this is. I'm asking you if you are. You said, am I writing a book? Am I writing a book? I would love to write a book. I thought about writing a book, and I was like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to call it Secrets of the South. And I was like, you know what? Those kind of secrets happen everywhere. I'm hearing it a lot more often, especially in Black families. Not to say that it doesn't happen in other families, but we know how to keep a secret, especially a secret when we're being abused. But I am going to write a book. I have been told over and over again I need to get this book out of me. So you see my little, this is my New Year 2019 vision board, right? So I have transformed my mind, and on here somewhere it has a book. Oh, see, write it. Start writing my book. I need to start writing my book. I do. I've been told that so many times. It's ridiculous. Everybody's like, when are you going to write your book? I love to write and I love to read. And I've always known from when I was probably about 16 years old that I wanted to write a book. That's the one. If nothing's been consistent in my life, the one thing I've always known in my life was that I wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to write a children's book at first, but I knew I always wanted to write a book. So I'm definitely, there's a book in me. There's a book in me, Antoinette. There's a book in me. I'm going to write. I thank you for expressing that, because this year is my Be Intentional year. And I feel like the fact that it keeps coming up to me from different people in my life, from different aspects of my life, like from all ends, that you said it for a reason. Like God spoke it to you, through you, to me for a reason. So I thank you and I appreciate that. And yes, God, I will be working on that book. I got to stop procrastinating. I know. So ladies, thank you again. If you know anyone who this could use this information that we shared tonight, please share it with them. Share share the video. I'm gonna post it on my, yes, it's confirmation. I got 16 seconds. I'm gonna post this on my live, and I'm also gonna post it on my YouTube. Have a good night, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Link in the bio. Blended brainstorming session free. Have a good one.